Have you ever wondered why you see a sulfur iron deficiency with fungus gnats? Well, in this video, we're going to get into it. You're here with Mark Batwell at PerfectGardens.com. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. I'm always grateful to all your support, guys. If you haven't checked out our monthly membership, I highly recommend do so. Just for $2.99, your questions get sent to the top for quick replies. And if you haven't heard, I was recently sent a cease and desist order threatened with a lawsuit if I didn't take down my review against Clean Cleaner. I'm asking for a little more support to build up my war chest so that I can continue to keep giving you open and honest reviews, and we can further defend our right for free speech. Thank you so much, everyone. First and foremost, let's just get into the solution before we get into all the nitty-gritty and the nerdy stuff. All right, so first and foremost, I'm going to give you a regimen that if you ran into fungus gnats, if you did these things, your fungus gnats would be gone fairly quickly and your plants would go back to looking good fairly quickly. Okay, so fixing the problem. First thing I would do if I had Smite or Banish on the shelf, because they are one of our approved pesticide fungicide brands, is I would use it as a root drench. Here are the essential oils that work well against fungus gnats, and root drench has 3 of the 4 essential oils in their product. If you do not have Smite or Banish on the shelf, I would not wait to order it. Obviously, if you go down the store and pick it up, I would, but if you can't, then I would go ahead and just move on to number 2. I would put down a small layer of diatomaceous earth. So diatomaceous earth is going to help a couple ways. It's going to help give your plants a little bit of calcium, because most likely you're going to be running into fungus gnats earlier in the grow versus later, unless you haven't tried to solve the problem at all. And if you haven't tried to solve the problems, the gnats probably devastated your crop and you're probably not into flowering at all anyways. So this is going to help you in 2 ways, right? It's going to give your plants a little bit of calcium so that as you're going through veg and as you go into flowering and as the plant needs calcium, you're going to give it a little additional calcium. And in addition to that, it's going to be a natural pesticide. Diatomaceous earth is microscopic little seashells that will actually cut up stuff living in the soil. I actually forgot one more thing too. I put some neem seed down, not oil, but neem seed itself. And if I had the opportunity, I would have amended my soil with neem seed or insect flask. 3, what I would also do is I'd put a small layer of beneficial bacteria and fungi, powdered preferably, or I'd brew up a tea and I'd give a good tea to my plants as I'm going through this process, and I'll explain more why later. It'd make a lot of sense in a few minutes. 4th, I would put down a small 1/2-inch layer of sand. Obviously, if you're in pots, this is how it's going to work. If you're outdoors, putting sand down might not be the best option. Why is sand going to work well is because it drains quickly and it dries fast, and that's where the fungus gnats actually lay all their eggs, is right in the top layer of the soil. 5th, I would put down some yellow sticky traps, and then 6th, I would foliar spray with drops of balance, obviously at 1 ml per gallon drops of balance. Make sure to pH the water first, or I would foliar spray with a fulvic acid, because fulvic and humic acids are sulfur based. And in a few minutes, it will make more sense why I suggest foliating with DAB or fulvic acid will help make your plants come back fairly quickly. One additional thing I want to point out to you guys is adults live for about 1 week. During each time, each female deposits about 100 to 150 eggs. So just take into consideration, right? We're going to be putting on a pesticide that's hopefully will eliminate some bugs immediately. Second, we're going to put down a layer that's going to help kill the remainder of the bugs that are laying around. But you have to take into consideration that in 1 week, a female can put over 150 eggs down. So very quickly, a few thousand eggs could have been deposited in your soil. So it will take anywhere from 7 to 10 days for us to fix the problem, as well as the plants to start to come back and be restored. So just kind of keep that in mind. Just because you see a few fungus gnats, it doesn't mean you don't have a full-blown infestation right underneath your soil waiting to bloom. Now let's go ahead and get into the geeky part around the knowledge of what are fungus gnats and why they cause sulfur iron deficiencies and why you see them together all the time. Okay, you have your eggs, and then you have a 3 to 6 day period where it turns into larvae. During this larva time, the larva is actually feeding on a number of different things, from mulch to leaf mold to your root hairs and the beneficial fungi. Also in the pupal stage, and then as it gets into the short fly and fungus gnat, the full size adults, they actually don't eat very much. The only thing they really do eat is going to be water and sap from your plants. Basically, as this bug goes into different stages, it's going to cause different types of plant deficiencies if you allow the problem to keep going without any type of pesticide control regimen. Okay, so why is this problem happening, right? The fungus larvae are eating the fungi and eating the root hairs. And what do the fungi and root hairs do for us, right? Well, the root hairs collect the nutrients and take it up. And then the fungi are responsible for the sulfur and iron coenzyme reaction during the nitrogen fixation process. And in past videos, I've talked about this already, so I'm not going to go too heavily into it, but we're just going to talk about it real fast, right? So you have a lightning bolt that comes and splits the atmosphere, turning into. As it combines with water, it turns into nitric acid. As the nitric acid falls down, the bacteria turn to ammonia. But before this ammonia process, you need iron, sulfur, and molybdenum, which I always say that name wrong, so I apologize. A few people have already corrected me on that. What's interesting, though, is that the sulfur and the iron are the fungi responsibilities. So if the fungus gnats are eating the fungi, the deficiency is going to show up in a sulfur and iron deficiency. This is why these deficiencies actually look very similar. This one's the sulfur right here, and this one's an iron, as you can see the deficiency right here on the tips. Specifically, ferredoxins are the iron sulfur protein. And when you don't have fungi, because obviously the fungus gnats are eating it, or the larvae specifically, there's not going to be sulfur availability. And obviously you're going to be seeing it in once again, an iron and a sulfur deficiency within the plant. So as you can see right here, my thought process around fixing the problem. Using a root drench, obviously, because the eggs are right there at the top. Using some diatomaceous earth to cut them up and also to help rebuild the cell structure because calcium is going to be needed. If you use gypsum, gypsum's going to be calcium sulfate. I don't believe it has the same types of properties as diatomaceous earth. I could be wrong as kind of like the pesticide, but you could go ahead and do your own research and make your own decision. The reason why obviously I'm encouraging the calcium is because the plant has been damaged. You need the sulfur for the growth. Sometimes I've seen leaves get all distorted and kind of missing sections of the leaf when sulfur is not available. And that's my theory. That's my own thought process through me seeing pictures and observation. I'm like, oh, interesting. So I'm definitely going to want to be putting a few minerals a little bit more in abundance for the plant so that it's going to have what it needs to recover as it continues to keep growing. Putting down a small layer of bacteria and fungi, right? Because I'm replacing what they're eating. The sand, right? I'm creating an environment that's difficult for them to grow and flourish. The yellow sticky traps is to just catch the adults that are going to travel to other plants to then lay their eggs in the soil and create even a further bigger problem. I'm controlling the infestation. And then the foliar spray, obviously because the fungi and roots have kind of been damaged, I want to use a foliar spray to provide the trace minerals that the plants need, because once again, sulfur and iron are a semi-mobile nutrient, so the plant can recover and the minerals can be restored if given thoughtfully. I know in the beginning of the video I threw out a couple other things, so also take those in consideration. I just can't really remember what I said. I hope this video was helpful. Please give me a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Have a great grow, everyone. There are two types of fungi. There's the decomposers, and then there are the mycorrhizae. Septoria is a decomposer. Let's get real quick into how to solve this problem. So first thing, remove infected foliage, right?